It's that bit. It's the bit before everybody comes. Where I talk to myself. Now, oh, that is good. Who have we got? Oh, this is nice. I like it when I get to wait on my own a bit. It's like the bit in a dressing room. There we are. Hey, everyone. I know it looks a bit weird. I'm going to have to keep explaining this again and again and again and again and again. So head over to YouTube, and there I am, hello, on a different camera, on testing the whole YouTube live thing. And you're way over there, so you'll still be able to hear me, I'm sure. It's just that you get this weird, slightly behind the scenes kind of look at all the nonsense that's going on. In this little studio bit of the house. So, hey everybody, happy Sunday. Gosh, it's been a lovely week this week. Every 30 seconds I'm going to have to explain to people why it's all a bit weird like this and why. But if you have YouTube, or if you want to go join me on YouTube, just it's that Jez Rose on YouTube, and you'll see me live streaming right now, and you can chat and all that kind of jazz. So this was what I was talking about last week, or the week before last, because I was at a wedding last week. To work out how we could put it on YouTube. Because if you go to YouTube, it's a totally different experience, because you get to see me I'm in the proper the studio, the broadcast studio. So you get me with all the sexy camera and all that kind of jazz, but also we can bring people in. So what I want to do, because it's a little bit restricted on Instagram, which is there, but over here on YouTube, I can bring guests in and do sexy stuff on the screen and stuff. So I think what I might do actually is, as from next week, it might be Sunday Elevenses live on YouTube rather than live on Instagram. And also, I think everybody's got access to YouTube. You don't even need an account. So anyway, happy Sunday, everybody. I have got, hey Mark, I have got the most glorious cup of chai today. Oh, I do love chai. And this is a really funky cup and saucer. I love this. Oh, because I'm really terrible at making tea. Well, I'm great at making tea. It's just it goes everywhere all the time. But I'm just going to let that pour in there. This really cool cup and saucer came from I was working in Boston, in Massachusetts, in America, a couple of years ago. And I went to the Museum of Modern Art. And this is 2 designs of teacups cut in half and stuck together. And the teacup is the same, so it's got this great big wedge in the middle of it, where half of a teacup becomes another half of a teacup, and I love it. And tea tastes amazing in it. So I hope you've all had an amazing week. I've got a pretty jam-packed schedule today, gang. So we're going to whiz through some of this. Now, if you've read the book, Flip the Switch, my other book, I'm going to talk about my brand new book as well, which I've started writing, and I am loving it. I think it's really difficult sometimes as writers, because as a writer, you want everybody to love what you write. Obviously, it's a really, really personal thing. It's almost like a letter to other people that you don't know. So it can be a little bit challenging when you write stuff and you're not quite sure how it's going to land. But this week, I've been writing my other book, so I'll come to that in a second. But the other book, Flip the Switch, which, by the way, if you haven't already got a copy, you can go to the shop, jezroseshop.co.uk, and if you use the code HUMAN, there's a little discount for you there as well. I know, the gift that keeps on giving. What can I say? So in that book, I talk a little bit about ants, and how there was this one time, years and years ago, where I was stood waiting for somebody in a high street, like a little market square area, and I noticed these little ants wandering around on the floor, and it made me realise, gosh, they're really tiny. And if you imagine that you were an ant, how massive that paving slab must be. It must be like the M25 for us, right? It's this huge little, maybe not quite that big, but it's huge paving slab. And I imagined, in those movies where they sort of zoom out and zoom out and zoom out, and you get kind of perspective and perspective and perspective and perspective like that. I thought, oh, how cool would that be if you were an ant, and you zoomed out a bit and saw how huge that paving slab was, and then you zoomed out again and you saw like how big the whole area was, all of those paving slabs, and then you zoomed out again and you saw that bit of the town, and you zoomed out again and you saw the town, and then you zoomed out and you saw the county, and then you saw the country, and then you saw the world, and you imagine how that tiny little ant exists just going along, and his world is so completely different to what we know. He has no idea. And then I found out that ants can live up to 15 years. Like one ant, just a normal, common old garden old the little black ants, nothing special about them. They can live for up to 15 years if you don't squash them or put loads of killing powder down like my mother does. So I thought that was pretty cool. Now, the reason this comes into this is because it made me realise or remember about perspective and how important it is to have perspective. The things that, we love doing and how important some things are to us but might not necessarily be important to somebody else, or how important we think, our immediate sort of environment is, but it might not be to somebody else. And that time that I was watching Little Ants, it just made me think, God, you know what? It's all about perspective. It's all about understanding that what we see is not necessarily what somebody else sees, and that what somebody else sees we might not be able to see either. And I think if we only went on through life a little bit more, I don't know, thinking like ants. I don't know what I'm saying. Sunday morning. I don't know why. I shouldn't have started with something like that, should I? So that was one of the things I was thinking about this week. I was thinking, isn't it amazing that, ants have this tiny little world, and to them, all of this stuff doesn't matter. They don't even know that all of this stuff exists. And it does make me think, well, that's the same for us, right? But on a different scale, is that we don't know what happens over there. And if we don't know about it, maybe that's okay. But maybe we should be a little bit more aware of the way other people live their lives, and I don't know, how we could think about it too. Anyway, the other thing I was thinking about this week was handwriting. So I'm moving house. And everything, not everything, but pretty much everything, is all like digital now. Everything's all digital. So you don't, there's nothing to print out. It's all, put your signature here, type in your sort code and stuff there. And it did make me think, well, I don't think I've written anything like by hand. I write like notes, like scrappy notes. Like I don't really think about them at all. What happened there? Hang on 1 minute, gang. If you're on YouTube, 2 seconds, because Instagram just went off. I don't know what's going on here. What is happening? Oh. Pause due to poor connection. What's that all about? Hang on, 2 seconds. Hey, I'm going to hold you. For some bizarre reason, for the first time ever, my phone just went off because I didn't tap it. That's never happened before. So, as I was saying, handwriting. Everything's digital. I don't understand why everything has to be digital now, but it's really cool. Don't get me wrong. I love the fact that you don't have to print everything out. But it did make me think, what happens if we stop handwriting? Because I haven't written a letter or written anything properly for like forever. So what happens if you can't actually write anymore? So I went to write a letter to somebody the other day, a little thank you letter to a client. And I started writing. It was like my arm had been broken. I was like, oh, how do you do the E and the H? It was a really bizarre thing. So I had this little moment where I thought, what happens if we don't write anymore? What happens if, is that like 10 years time or 20 years time when we stop writing? Or do we stop writing like in, just a few months time? Or I don't know. So maybe we should all start, writing to each other more. That would be nice. We should set up a writing club. That would be really cute. So I thought, well, that is the perfect time to remind everybody just how important handwritten notes are. So if you have any excuse whatsoever. I don't think you even need an excuse. You could just say hello to somebody. Grab yourself a scrappy bit of paper or a napkin. I once sent somebody a note. I was in a cafe. I was doing loads and loads of driving and travelling for about 10 days. And I wasn't home very much. I wasn't seeing very many people. So I grabbed a napkin in this cafe I was working in. And I literally just wrote like this person a little like hello note and put it in the post. Grabbed an envelope from the reception of the hotel, of the 3 hotels later, because I was staying at Travelodge and stuff like that. They don't have envelopes in Travelodge receptions. Don't have receptionists, in fact, from my experience. But and sent it off to them. So maybe, if in, I don't know, somebody just said, maybe it's the next generation that stopped writing, but I don't know about that. I don't know. Somebody just said, that's a really good point. We lose so much social history now we don't write. And you're right. You're correct even. That sounded a bit patronising, didn't it? I don't know if it will be the next generation. Think about how quickly things are evolving and advancing now. I reckon it could well be in our existence, in our lifetime, that you think, oh yeah, when did I last write something? You might sign stuff still, or like a scrappy note. But I think it might be coming sooner than we think. So maybe we should start a kind of big push to make sure that we can still write before we all become illegible. We could all get jobs as doctors and all write doctors' notes for them, because they'll all be scrappy and all over the place, and we won't be able to do anything, see anything, or understand what anybody's doing. That is really good. I love chai. Every now and again. Oh, I think I told you this the other week. In the house I used to live in, there was this really lovely Indian restaurant in a chapel. If you're ever near Stony Stratford in Buckinghamshire, near Milton Keynes, it's called, I think, the Calcutta. And it's stunning, absolutely amazing. And they make really authentic Indian cuisines. It's a family that own it. And they used to make me, while I waited, the most gorgeous traditional masala, like amazing. I'm going to put you here, gang. You're going to go there by my microphone. Oh, maybe you're not. Oh, yeah, you are. This isn't going especially according to plan this week, I'm going to be honest. I don't know quite what. Hello. There we go. Hello. So I've got you here if you're looking on Instagram, and if you're on YouTube, you get the better view. You get the up nose shot, and you get the full-on facial, so to speak. Let's move on. So, jobs, yes. So I'm writing this new book all about change. And it's pretty cool, I have to say. I'm really enjoying it. I enjoy the fact that I get to, do something a little bit different every day. I get to think a different way about change, and it's not normally the sort of thing necessarily think about all the time. But the bit I've got to in the book is talking about all the jobs that I've had, because I've done loads of different things that at the time I don't really think about. And it's only because other people say, oh, you've done this, that, or the other, or you've done a lot of this or the other. And in fact, when I did the podcast with Adam, he was just take the mickey at me and say, what are you doing now? You're constantly doing something different. But it made me realise that actually change is a really important part of our lives. It's a normal part of being human, right? I've said to you before, no two sunsets or sunrises are the same. We actively decide that we're going to do things different and change all the time. But it made me realise that actually we decide who we are, don't we? We write our own stories. And we can change our own stories and edit our own stories. And every single day we turn the page and it's a new page to write. It's a new thing that we can decide that we're going to do or not going to do. And so I realised that actually, look, I've done lots of different things. Obviously, as you'll probably know, I've worked for the ambulance service. And I studied a paramedic degree with a specialty in critical care. Didn't finish that bit for a number of different reasons. I'm going to talk about the changing bit in a minute and the stuff that you don't finish. I've had lots of different businesses. I have presented on kids' TV. I've presented on adult TV. When we say adult TV, I don't mean adult TV. I mean just not kids' TV. Let's just be... I want to make sure the rumours don't go through there. I've been a professional magician for 15 years. I just don't talk about it necessarily in this capacity, but we're going to do a quick trick this week. Obviously, I've written quite a few books. I have studied animal behaviour, and I did animal training for a little time. In fact, I trained animals in film for a little bit as well, and there are some film credits with my name in as the animal trainer. I've worked in hospital. I have... what else have I done? Anyway, I've done loads of things, but the point is... it's not about the things that you've done. You're not defined by your 9 to 5. You're not defined by what you're doing right now. You're defined by the things that you can do, by the possibilities, by the things that we're allowed to do, the things that we allow ourselves to do. And I think is a really, really important takeaway. I'm just looking for a note. I realised I left something really important upstairs before I was going to do this. You're defined by what you do with who you are today. We're defined by the story that we write ourselves and what we think we're going to do or want to do, not necessarily by our 9 to 5. So, with me, I like to think that I've brought a ton of experiences, and I don't change because I get bored. I'm overly curious. I'm very. If there's something that I like the idea of, like I learned to play the piano, learned to play the trombone, but didn't like it, so gave up. Learned to play the guitar, didn't like it, so gave up. What else? I've done all sorts of things. Obviously, we had the bee farm here as well, the world's first carbon neutral bee farm, honey farm. So I like to sort of really invest in something, really understand it, pull it apart, work out what it is. But if it's not right for you, or if you learn some stuff, then you can move on and use that in your life. There's literally nothing that I've done in all of my life, whether it's, jobs, or whether it's, different things that I've been interested in, hobbies, that I don't use something about that thing now. So there's something a little bit for you to think about. In the new book, I started writing about change and how change is really important for us. But there's an awful lot of people I look at and talk to who have been in the same job for like 25 years or 15 years. And I think, oh, okay, well, that's cool if you enjoy it. It's really cool, obviously. But also, if you were to write a list of all the different instruments you could play, all of the countries you could visit, all of the jobs you could do, and then work out where you are in that grand scheme of things, you're a really tiny speck of dust compared to all of our infinite potential. So I think, being overly curious, if it suits you, is a really good thing. You should never think, oh, that's terrible, I can't do that because I've committed to being this person. You're not committed to being anybody. You're committed to being a human being. And I think, personally, for me, as long as your manifesto, if you like, for being human is to be kind to yourself and to other people, we'd all get on an awful lot better anyway, wouldn't we? It doesn't matter whether you're a policeman for a couple of years and then decide you're going to be a fireman and then decide you're going to, set up a window cleaning business, two go hand in hand, whether you're going to be a gardener or change your mind, does it? It really doesn't matter. So I sort of carried through a lot of my life not feeling ashamed, but finding it difficult to identify as all these different things that I'd done before I realised that actually they don't identify me. I'm me. I'm not identified by the experiences I've had. I just bring a little bit more to the party. So there you go. I promised every week I'd do a little supplier shout out. And my supplier shout out this week is, I'm still wearing it. It's so cozy. I've got this gorgeous waistcoat cardigan that was knitted by Shea Cooper Crafts. And they knit anything you want. Anita does the most amazing cards, like greetings cards. And they've got tiny little knitted jumpers on with little knitting needles in, or little scarves on the front. For real, like she knits these tiny little jumpers and sticks them on the front. You can use them as greetings cards. They're on Instagram, Shea Cooper Crafts. And it is this, you can get it in loads of different colours, obviously any colour you want. She knitted one for my granddad, and I wanted exactly the same one because it was really lovely. So yeah, it's so cute, really, really cozy. In fact, I'm getting a little bit hot in here, so I'm going to take it off, but it's really nice. So that's my supplier shout out for the week. I don't know about the rest of you, but I am inundated with these guys, little squirrels, and there are an awful lot of squirrels. This is Steve. He's the bartending squirrel. He's going to shake us up something. Go for it, Steve. Yummy. They're all over the garden, and they've been playing around with their nuts all morning. So that's been my little entertaining thing for this week. And also robins. There's loads of robins as well, chipping away in the garden and loving themselves. I love all that kind of stuff. The light at this time of the year is just mind-blowing, isn't it? It is just absolutely gorgeous. I encourage people to get out as much as you possibly can in the autumn time. I'm just going to do this top button. It's staying there, all right? So calm down, everybody, please, all right? I'm not taking all of this off. Oh, what's this? Carol said something really interesting. You are defined by the person you are and not your job, but think people get bogged down in other issues, finance, family, mortgages. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think you're absolutely right. But then, maybe we shouldn't get bogged down in that kind of stuff, and we should look at who people are inside, right? We're defined by how we help other people and how kind we are to ourselves. And I mean, people's jobs are almost irrelevant. It's a bit like people's jobs are only interesting, or part of them, if they're interesting. Like when you go to a wedding, God, I hate weddings. If you go to a wedding and you sit next to somebody who you're never going to see again, and you have to pretend to be all sociable and like you're interested in them when really you're not and you couldn't care less. But you play the game. So you're at this table of 10 and you say, oh, what do you do? And they say, I don't know, I'm a data analyst. And you go, oh, great, okay, move on to someone else. You don't give a hoot about what they data analyze or who they are, and it doesn't define them in any way. What you're more interested in is that one of their hobbies is paragliding, or that they, I don't know, make miniature train sets on a like 1/1,000,000th scale or something, and they've got 1 and 4 magnifying glasses in their pocket so you can see it in real time. I think it's those things that are more important about us. Our life experiences and what we bring to life. Life is one giant tapestry, and we're all a little part of that. So, Donna says it's fun trying to explain a civil engineer. Do you know what? This is, in all seriousness, we went to a wedding the other day, fortunately a really lovely one from a very lovely friend. But I said to Mr. Adorable, you'll know how sort of engaged I am or interested in, because normally I pick a completely different job, because I do a number of different things, so it's difficult to sort of explain, what I do succinctly. It's not like I can say I'm a plumber. And I'm very grateful, and I love the fact that lots of the things that I do are really interesting for me, and they're interesting for other people. They're not necessarily normal. People always seem to be interested in that you present on TV, or that you write books, or that you're a speaker, or whatever. So if I can't be bothered to engage, the blanket one, either for me, is something where they just won't leave me alone. So I go for carpenter or proctologist. because generally no one's that interested in that. Oh, what do you carpent? What do you make? Or a proctologist, because they're just not interested. And you don't want to talk about that about dinner anyway, do you? So you just scooch on over and talk about something else. Eleanor says, when you tell people you're a teacher, they often tell you what you are getting so wrong. Yeah. Yeah. That's another thing as well, isn't it? I think, teachers should get an awful lot of slack. We need to remember that we should love teachers an awful lot more. One of my favourite groups of people to present to and teach to and be around are teachers. We spend more time with teachers during the formative key developmental periods of our life than anybody else. And yet we give them an awful lot of... There was a time when teachers had the ultimate respect. And of course, some teachers abuse that trust, but there are terrible nurses, there are horrific physiotherapists, there are terrible doctors, there are terrible teachers, there are terrible human beings, but there are wonderful nurses and wonderful doctors and wonderful teachers. So you can't tarnish everybody with the same brush, otherwise we'd all hate each other. It's nuts. So I think you have to sort of think a little bit about, just because there might have been, one teacher or a group of teachers did something wrong, it doesn't mean to say they're all that. Teachers are amazing. They need us to cut them an awful lot of slack. We need to trust them more, because all of the teachers that I have spoken to in the last probably 5 years are tired. They are depressed. They've lost the fire in their belly. They're bored by all of the, red tape and white paperwork and stuff. And I think, wouldn't it be wonderful if actually we just gave them a little bit of slack? So listen, it's quick trick time. I've never done this before. I've done this before because it's my favourite thing. But I've never done it, I've never done it on the Sunday Elevenses before. This is my favourite magic trick. This is going to be very difficult on Instagram. You definitely want to go watch it on YouTube. Because as you will know, I love tailoring and clothes. And a large part of tailoring and clothes is thread. There it is. I need to make sure there's not a knot in there. And this was taught to me. This is one of the very first magic tricks that my Grampy taught to me. Now, you'll be able to see this better on YouTube because of where this is, and I've had to change this the angle on the phone. It doesn't work so well, but I'll give you a little close-up of what I'm doing. You see that? Just breaking this thread into tiny little pieces of thread, because my granddad said to me, or my Grampy said to me, we are all tiny threads. The great wonderful thing about life is the tapestry of life, is that everybody, every tiny little thread, everybody you meet is a thread, a part of, a golden thread, some people, of your life, but a tiny part of the world as we know it. They are all, everybody, is that one there? Yep. Important, because we are bound together. Let me roll these into a little ball. This is a little more difficult. We are bound together by love. We are bound together by pain. Those are the two emotions. I'm just going to wet my fingers a tiny bit so I can get this into a little ball. That bring us all together, even though we exist as separate entities. Let me see if I can get this and stick this on here. 1 minute. This is the scary bit. If this falls off, I'm screwed. Even though... There. So we are bound together by all of those things that we find true. But the thing you have to remember, the thing that brings us all together, always, is kindness and love. And where there is kindness and love, there is unity. And we will never be separate threads. We will come together to create something more magical together. Isn't that wonderful? It's just beautiful, isn't it? So there you go. That's a quick trick that I don't normally do, but I thought I'd do today because it's one of my favourite pieces of magic. So there you go. I'm gonna wind that up there. You can have this all back. I was going to do it again, but I won't do it again. Sometimes I break it all up and do it again, but we're only here for a little bit, and I'm sure I love it more than more than you all do. So my point is, Sunday Elevenses is going to change a little bit. We're going to mix it up. We're not going to do it here, I don't think, on Instagram. I'll let you know this week. We're going to do it on YouTube from now on. You can join me at that Jez Rose on YouTube. Every single Luke says do it again. We can do it again if you want. Here. Very quickly this time, though, Mr. Luke. Oh, there's a knot in it. I might not be able to do it again because I can't do it if there's a knot in it. What we're going to do is, as from next week, there'll be special guests as well. I don't know if you can you hear that or not? Let me just try and... I don't know if you can hear the brakes or not. I don't know where the microphone is or not. Is it down here? Let me roll them together again. So at that Jez Rose on YouTube, there'll be special guests as from next week, which I'm going to live in. They'll be here on the screen with me as well. And they'll be here on the screen with me next week. And there it is. And I want you to be a part of it as well. So as from next week, bring your tea over to YouTube, not Instagram Live, and we'll see how that goes for a little week. I'm going to bring some of the suppliers in as well, and there'll be competitions for next week as well. Because this has been really lovely for us, I think, to have this little Instagram moment, but I sort of feel it's growing and could get a little bit bigger. So by switching to YouTube, it allows me to film it properly in the studio. I've got sort of sexy controls and bits and bobs here as well. And that means that we can all join in a little bit more. Do it again. Can you block Luke, please? So I thought I would end with a little quote for this week. I want you to tell me on Instagram or in the comments exactly what you're going to do this week. I literally cannot wait to hear. Last week, I had loads of little messages telling me of people things they were going to do to keep them happy and positive for the week ahead. That's the whole point of Sunday Elevenses with Jez. Obviously, there's the Elevenses, a super important part of that. But, oh, by the way, peanut cookies. Right, if you're allergic to peanuts, absolutely do not do this. Do not, right? But if you're not allergic to peanuts or egg or sugar, then do this, right? So yesterday, I said do. Yesterday I made peanut cookies. Amazing. 200 grams of peanut butter, sorry. 200 grams of peanut butter. Then some sugar, about 150 grams of sugar, or you can use honey if you want. They just come out a little wetter, need cooking a little bit longer. Little quarter of a teaspoon of salt. Mix that all together, loads and loads and loads and loads and loads. Mix it. 200 grams of peanut butter, 150 grams-ish of sugar or honey, and a quarter of a teaspoon of salt. Mix. When it's all mixed together, crack in an egg, one egg from your normal common old chicken, or a duck if you want. Mix with a wooden spoon, right? Must be a wooden spoon, and it goes into like a dough consistency. Break off those little dough consistency bits into about the size of a cherry tomato, right? Put them on a smooth or crunchy. Karen, come on now. We've got more important things to worry about in life. Crunchy, there, all right? Break them off into cherry tomato sized chunks, put them on a lined grease-proof tray, then get a fork and just squish them down a tiny bit, pop them into the oven, 160 degrees on a fan for about 18 minutes. Oh my life. It takes you, I don't know, so it's 18 minutes for the cooking, 5 minutes for the cooking, the like baking thing. They are delicious. So that's what we're going to do. I want you to tell me what we're going to do this week to keep you happy and or be positive. Oh, someone's taking care of their 10-week-old son. Oh, wow. Congratulations. Welcome to the world, 10-week-old son. Oh, I love a good 10-week-old son story. Welcome to the world. It's an amazing place. You're going to have an incredible time, I really hope. Stick with the right people. Find yourself some love. I love the thing... who's that guy? Phoenix, River Phoenix, Joaquin Phoenix, River Phoenix. Yeah, I think his name was River Phoenix. Said, "Run to the rescue with love, and hope will follow." Isn't that wonderful? So I really hope. Watching him from America. Hey, well, nursing him at 6 a.m. here. Oh, bless you. Oh, wow. Well, look at that. A truly international thing. Hello, tiny 10-week-old son. I'm from England, and we all look like this and sound like this, and for that, I can only apologise. So, here is your quote of the week, gang, to set you up. There's two, actually, and I hope they put a little bit of a fire in your belly. And it is this. Albert Einstein said, try not to become a person of success, but rather try to become a person of value. And finally, Samuel Beckett said, try again, fail better. So there you go. Thanks so much for joining me this week. It has been, as ever, an absolute joy and a pleasure. And I sincerely hope that you will join me again next week on YouTube at That Jez Rose. Happy Sunday, happy week. Bye-bye, everybody. Now, you guys get to hang around a little bit longer while I figure out how this, how we stop it. There we go. Okay, bye-bye. See you next week.